Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we'll be taking a look at the best brawlers and tips for the new duo showdown challenge. Let's get into it. Okay, so jumping into the first map, it's going to be on Rockwool Rule. So this map is obviously, it's quite short range, so it does favor those throwers. The spawns are going to be as follows. We have one at the top, two on either side, and then we have two, we have one in the bottom right, one in the bottom left. So that top spawn definitely has a pretty big advantage, just because there's not really any team kind of around you anywhere near. The worst spawns definitely have to be in the bottom right and the bottom left. So yeah, throwers are going to be dominant on this map. I recommend going a Grom Daryl comp. Grom insanely broken right now, and Daryl closely follows Grom in terms of the strongest brawlers in the game. Of course, if you don't have Grom, feel free to go like a Jean, Daryl, something like that is probably going to work pretty well. Also, Surge can work on this map. But yeah, as I said, Daryl and Grom, ideally you use both of them because Grom is insanely broken. Obviously, this map is very, very good for throwers as well. Just be careful, especially if you're playing, if you don't spawn at the top, be careful going into mid because you can get pinched in really easily on a map like this, especially if you have like one of the bottom spawns in the bottom right or bottom left. If you end up going mid, you could get pinched in by like 4 teams. So just be really careful. And don't be too greedy when it comes to getting these cubes in mid. A top 2 is going to count as a win, so definitely take that into account. Say if there's like a really strong team and there's 3 teams left, definitely make sure you're going to go and take the weaker team out, and you can pick up the win that way. This graphic also shows you exactly where all the box spawns are on the map. That doesn't mean that a box will definitely spawn there, it just means that there's a chance that a box will spawn there. So as you can see, the ones that people miss are usually in the top right and top left, but everywhere else is pretty expected, and these are where the boxes can spawn. Of course, for gears, you probably want to be going the shield star power on Grom, and probably the speed star power, and then on Daryl you probably want to go the damage star power and the speed star power. But yeah, it's just pretty much between those 3 gears because those are the best 3, and that's gonna be it for the first map. Let's get into the next one. Okay, so map number 2 is going to be Dark Passage. Now this one, spawns play a huge impact on this one, I'm not gonna lie, just because as you can see, if you spawn on the top, there's the same spaces on the bottom, and there's 3 teams on the top, 2 on the bottom. So if you spawn on the bottom, you have a huge advantage. You could just see by the way these box spawns are that bottom left spawn is just insane. If you get that spawn and you don't win, I'm sorry, but you're trash. Okay, anyway, you want one of these spawns on the bottom. Obviously nothing you can do, but just something to bear in mind, that where these other teams spawn, you want to take that into account when you're like doing things like pushing into mid. You know there might be a team above you. You know if you spawn on the bottom, you can easily go into mid because there's not really going to be any teams to pinch you. Whereas if you're on the top side, particularly on that left side of the top, you want to be really careful because you can get easily pinched in essentially by the other team. Also, your bottom right is going to be a great spawn. Top right, not too bad. If you get one of those, you know, top left spawns, just I would say honestly, try and get a few boxes, then just go for that other team that does spawn in the same area as you. That way they can't pinch you, and then it's gonna be a lot fairer. Say if you take out that team, then it's pretty even. Everyone has like the same amount of space. Obviously, as it goes for brawlers, there's a lot of water, so Daryl can definitely work along with a Jean or something like that. But again, Grom, so broken. There's not as many walls, so I don't feel like you definitely need Grom. I feel like Grom will still be pretty strong on a map like this. So, you know, any combination between Jean, Grom, Daryl, you could even go brawlers like Meg. But honestly, I feel like Grom's still going to be very, very strong on here. Leon probably going to be an okay pick as well, just because Leon is pretty good at Enduro Showdown. But yeah, I would go with a Jean. Jean's going to be pretty solid. You can go with a Russ as well. Russ with that HP gadget, or sorry, star power, is going to be pretty good. So on this map, I would say I would go for speed on pretty much all the brawlers, just because there is, as for gears, because there's a lot of grass on this map. And then I would say if the brawler has less than 5k HP, usually go for that shield gear. If it has above 5k HP, probably go with the damage gear. Could also go things like Crow, Byron, Max. But yeah, generally probably want to go with a Grom, Daryl, or Jean, or just some kind of combination of that of those brawlers. Okay, so the final map is going to be on Feast or Famine. Now this one, honestly, like, I don't really know how to tell you to play it because it's a really even map. All the spawns are even, the boxes are very even. You can go mid and either like come out with 10 boxes and guarantee a win, or you can go mid and kind of die. So for me, it's a high risk, high reward strategy, like going into the mid. And obviously, if you have that strategy, you probably want to be using some tankier brawlers. For example, like the Jackies, the Bulls, the Shellys. If you want to use that strategy, it's going to be good. I probably wouldn't recommend it just because you only need top 2, and I feel like that's very high risk when you necessarily don't really need to go for that. So I would say probably go with something like a Grom, maybe a Gene. If you are scared of those tankier brawlers, maybe you want to go something like a B Grom. But yeah, definitely, if you're not going to rush mid, I would recommend going Grom. Of course, if you're going mid, yeah, I wouldn't go Grom because Grom is a thrower. But yeah, if you're just playing on the edge, like something like a Gene Grom, Max Grom, Ruffs Grom, something like that would probably be pretty good. Obviously, that strategy is going to be involving you just going around the edge. You can see there's a lot of 2 boxes. You can just go around the edge, kind of pick up all of these double boxes, because often people will leave them and, you know, go in for the mid, but there's actually more boxes on the outside than there is in the mid. So yeah, I would recommend going on the outside just because you don't really need to take like a huge risk going into mid to get those kind of boxes. As it goes for gears, probably I would say using the speed gear if I intend to go in the mid. So if you're playing tanks, I would go with the speed gear. And if you intend to just go on the outside, you can pick between like the shield, the damage, or the speed gear, whichever you kind of prefer. If you're just playing the outside, honestly, you can leave the speed gear out just because there is not a ton of grass on the outside. You can see the spawns here. It's very, very even. I think if anything, maybe like the spawn to the left, like the far left, has a tiny advantage just because you have a little bit more space, but not a huge advantage. This one is definitely pretty fair, I would say. So definitely just be careful going into mid. You could get pinched by all the teams. So as I say, you know, I think it's definitely a little bit more safe to just play on the outside, play those longer range brawlers, and you should be good in the final map of this challenge. Okay, well, that is going to wrap it up for the video. If you have any questions, of course, let me know down below. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.